Hey, what's up guys? It's Cypher from SypherPK.com, and today I am bringing you a Stamina Dragonknight one-hand and shield heavy armor build. I've been running this build for the past couple of days, and I can already tell you that it's very strong. It has a lot of flexibilities and can be changed around, but the core mechanics of the build revolve around the armor sets and a few of the other DK mechanics and passives. I'm just going to get right into it, try to make this quick. The front bar is going to be the one-hand and shield. We have Reverberating Bash, Heroic Slash. This is going to be your main DPS. It's a lot of damage. The snare is really nice. And then Minor Heroism to get your ultimate up as a DK is very important to sustain. Igneous Shield for extra healing and stamina return. Resolving Vigor for healing. And Shuffle for dodge chance and removing snares and roots. You can put Shuffle on your back bar or on your front bar. There's a lot of different ways you can put this build together. But I've been experimenting with different ways to try to find, something that I'm comfortable with. What you should do is find something that you're comfortable with. Dawnbreaker of Smiting, this is going to be your main way to take down people, burst down groups, or just execute people while they're dodging away from you. Really strong ultimate, really good passives, and really good damage with a really strong dot. Back bar, we have our 2H, Rally, Volatile Armor. Now, you could replace Volatile Armor with Reflective Scales. You could replace Reverse Slice, which is the AoE execute. It's single target, but it also has AoE splash damage. You can reverse that with Reflective Scales. You can also take off Noxious Breath, but I don't recommend that because you do need a dot or two to put pressure onto your opponents. You also have Critical Rush as a gap closer, and Corrosive Armor. Corrosive Armor can be replaced with the Werewolf ultimate, but personally I haven't really played with Werewolf too much. I just feel like Corrosive Armor is very reliable when you're getting swarmed down by a group of players, and you can keep up your ultimates really well with this build because we are running Bloodspawn and we do have Minor Heroism and a few other things going on. The setup is pretty standard for a one-hand shield 2H. This is going to be giving you your major fracture, and your DPS is going to be increased based off of that. If you're not running Heroic Slash and you're running Puncture instead, you'll want to switch your dots up and maybe use Venomous Claw for just more single target damage. Really strong setup, but really standard one-handed shield 2H setup. The armor sets are really what separate this build from some of the other standard DK setups. We're running 2 Bloodspawn, a light helmet infused with maximum stamina, and a impinged shoulder with stamina. We are running 5 pieces Black Rose, all impen. Now my Black Rose is purple because I'm a little bit broke. But upgrading it to gold, I mean, it'll increase some of the stats a little bit here and there, but for now it's just going to stay purple. 5 pieces, Impen, Black Rose. It is 5 heavy, 1 medium, 1 light. This is if you have the Undaunted Metal passive, it means your Undaunted is at rank 9. If you don't, I recommend 5 heavy, 2 medium, just for the medium passives. This is going to give you a really big boost to your overall stat pool by giving that extra 6% health, stamina, and magicka. We're running 3 agility. Robust on everything. I'm currently running all weapon damage, but if you want more sustain, you can definitely sacrifice some of the weapon damage for either cost reduction or recovery. I recommend cost reduction because the recovery is already very low on this build. I will say though that with the heavy armor passives, the Constitution passive, the Battle Roar passives, the Red Guard passives, because I am a Red Guard on this build, I changed from Dark Elf to Red Guard with the race change. You don't really need cost reduction on your Juligas. I've been able to sustain for a long period of time while in combat. So as long as you're getting attacked and you're actually actively fighting people, your sustain should be fine. We're running 2 pieces of more Coolden. This can be any 2-piece set that gives you maximum stamina. If you want to do weapon damage, that's up to you, but I think maximum stamina, complements the DK a little bit better. So impenetrable on the shields, maximum stamina, sharpen on the mace or sword or whatever you're using for your one-hand shield. It doesn't really matter. There's no passives involved in that. With the weapon damage glyph that increases your weapon damage after a light attack. On our back bar, we are running the Maelstrom Battle Axe. We are using a poison, increased cost of victims' magicka and stamina. You don't have to use a poison because you do have the dot that you can get from the Maelstrom Battle Axe. It's up to you. It is defending for extra resistance when we swap off of our one-handed shield. I think defending is the best in slot for this setup on your back bar. So getting defending Maelstrom Battle Axe wasn't so bad after all. Let me look at the stat sheet real quickly. We have everything in the stamina. We are a Red Guard. We're looking at 25.5k health with 42.2k stamina. The stamina might be a little bit higher with the gold Black Rose. The recovery is 800 unbuffed, almost 1,000 buffed. Weapon damage is 2367 unbuffed. That seems pretty low, but when you buff up with Igneous Shield and when you buff up with Rally, you take that weapon damage to 2915. And when you light attack, you take it to close to 3400. And with the heavy armor passive, that increases your weapon damage as you are attacked, the Wrath passive, you can get your weapon damage up to 3700 using this setup. So it starts at 2300, but it can go all the way up to 3700 when you're fully buffed. So you have a lot of different ways to increase your weapon damage. The food we are using maximum health and maximum stamina. You can use Tri-Stat if you want to for a bigger Magicka pool, but I feel like the extra health and stamina suited me a little bit better. So it's up to you, whichever food you use. I'm personally using the max health and maximum stamina food to achieve this big 42k pool. Now the resistances are pretty good with with spiked armor. Again, you can use reflective skills instead of spiked armor, but personally, I just found reflective skills not as reliable because you're not going to know if your opponents are going to have projectiles. Spiked armor is just going to protect you from everything. And reflective skills, it's a bit buggy. It only reflects 4 projectiles. It's a big Magicka drain, and I'd rather use my Magicka on Igneous Shield, to be honest with you, for that stamina return. We are using the Thief for our Mundus, and the reason we're using the Thief to increase our critical strike chance is because without the Thief, our critical strike chance is only around like 24%, and that wasn't enough to get the most out of your damage. A lot of your big damage is going to come from where you crit, so even 34% is a bit low, but the Thief definitely softens the lack of damage by increasing your critical chance. So Redguard is definitely the best race for this build, but it works with a lot of the stamina races such as Wood Elf, Khajiit, Imperial, Nord, Orc. Orc is also a really good one. But in my opinion, Redguard is the best because of the Adrenaline passive. What this does basically is it gives you an opportunity to gain stamina back even while you're blocking, because you are going to do a lot of blocking with this setup, and this is just another option to get stamina back while you're blocking, besides Battle Roar and the heavy armor passives. Let's get into the champion points real quickly. Tower, we have a lot into cost reduction. We have about 31 points into stamina recovery for an 11% bonus. Honestly, you don't even really need to put that much into here. I was just experimenting. I might take a little bit out of here and put it elsewhere. 35 into tumbling. I don't do a lot of dodge roll. I mean, you don't usually do a lot of dodge rolls with this build. I personally play a little bit differently, and I do dodge roll quite a bit. So this is more suited for my playstyle. 40 points into Shadow Ward to reduce the cost of blocking. 30 points into Bless to increase healing received. 25 into Melee Weapon Expert. 5 into Shattering Blows. The reason I put 30 points into the skill line is so I can get the Riposte passive. And while blocking, it grants you a 15% chance to return about 5k damage to the attacker when you block a melee attack. So it's very good against other melee characters. 10 into Thaumaturge just for the extra dot damage, 20 into Precise Strikes, and 87 into Mighty. Over here we have 37 points into Critical Resist, 15 into Hardy, 15 to Elemental Defender, 30 into Thick Skin. It's really important that you have at least 120 into the Lady so you can get the Unchained passive. It's going to help you with your sustain tremendously. Over here we have Quick Recovery, just a little bit more extra healing. So the champion layout is pretty standard for a one-handed shield setup, nothing really crazy going on over there. Again, there's a lot of different options with this build. You can go Ransack and Venomous Claw if you want to instead of Heroic Slash. You can put Reflective Scales instead of Velatile Armor. You can put Shuffle on your back bar and put the dot on your front bar. The reason I started playing with the dot on my back bar is because I am using an axe, and there's a chance that I can apply the bleed with Noxious Breath. So a lot of different options. This is a very, very strong build. I've already recorded a couple of 1vx clips. I'm going to be posting this on to YouTube and on my website at SypherPK.com, and expect 1vx videos coming out very soon for this build. It's very strong, very powerful. Definitely reminds me of the old school Magicka DK, except the stamina version of it. Really tanky, can take on a lot of opponents, and the more people that are hitting you, pretty much the more sustain you're going to be having during the fight, which is just really, really just the way of the DK. That's kind of like how DKs used to be played, and this is kind of bringing it back a little bit. Now, this build has been around for a while, but I never got a chance to play a build like this because I didn't want to try it with a Dark Elf. red guard is just definitely the best pick. And now that I can play as a red guard, it turns out it's really strong. Been missing out. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to this build video. If you want to see other builds, visit SypherPK.com. And if you have any questions with this build, leave them in the comments down below. Thank you guys very much, and I'll see you soon. Fucking nail.